to the BD Sports Talk podcast, here to give you the latest scoop of sports in the great city of Detroit and the great state of Michigan. This week, we have an exciting slew of topics to discuss if you're a sports fan, and it starts with Michigan, and are they in trouble? MSU dominates, but can they pull out a win in Massachusetts? We discuss the Lions and their issues, along with what to look for this weekend in Arizona, and an extremely special weekly Tigers update. I am Bill, along with the D&E of the BDE co-hosts and brothers, Dean and Eddie. Fellas, what a week of sports for us fans in Michigan. Let's get this thing going and start with the University of Michigan. They won, if you want to call it that, on Saturday, 28-18 against Arkansas State. I really don't want to go over the stats, but we will real quick. Davis Warren, 11, 14, 122, and 3 interceptions. Khalil Mullings, 15 carries, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Give a quick opinion on this. And they did name Alex Orji the starter this week.
Makes sense.
We'll see what happens with letting him have some continuity. Rather than just throwing him in for a special run play or whatnot. If this doesn't work, I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know what to think about this weekend. Can you guys talk me off the cliff?
You should probably just... No, you're not wrong, though. I mean, that was... I don't know if it's necessarily time to worry, but they definitely didn't. I mean, Davis Warren, the good thing is, if you look at it, he was 11-14, but those 3 incompletions were interceptions, and that's against a Arkansas State team that, hey, we don't know. We don't know how good they are. They might make the playoff, maybe. The at-large team, bro. It's fine. They got this. I think putting Orji is definitely the way to go. Strength of their team is to run the ball, and I mean, maybe they can try to do something like they did with old Nard Dog back in the day. And I mean, you're going to have to if you're not confident in his arm. I mean, you can't depend on Davis Warren, which, I mean, obviously, passing was probably the thing they wanted him for. And that's not going to work out, it seems like. I mean, against Arkansas State, you got some tough competition coming up. Orji was the move to go. You just got to kind of see what the kid has and kind of ride with it until, I mean, unless you want to put in one of the younger guys. But, for right now, I think that was the right move. I don't think it's time to worry, but they definitely are not feeling good right now, for sure.
Yeah, if you're asking if they're in trouble, I mean, maybe. They still won. They controlled the game up until the end, for the most part. I mean, weren't they up 28-3? Then a couple touchdowns got scored or whatever. I mean,
I can tell you.
You want to do better than that, right? I mean, especially coming off winning the national championship, and you're at home against a clearly way inferior team. But I mean, that doesn't, I don't know. I guess I'm still hesitant to totally cash in on them this season. I mean, I thought, for reference, like 2015, which was 9 years ago now, but was when MSU went to the playoff. I mean, they beat Western 37-24. They played CMU and won 30-10. But beat Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm glad to hear they're moving on, or at least giving Orji a chance, because that's clearly one of their biggest issues on offense. I mean, the offensive line, the run blocking has still been pretty disappointing in general, especially if you have a talent like Donovan Edwards. But, Donovan didn't have a big year last year either up until the end.
Right.
At least in my recollection. I mean, I didn't watch every minute of every Michigan game. I mean, but it felt like he was pretty slow. I mean, now granted, Blake Corum was there, but it's still when Donovan got the ball a lot of the times last year, I didn't feel like he wasn't making it just popped off at a certain point last year, you know, and maybe that happened again, maybe it won't, but I don't know. I don't know if they're in trouble. They played Texas and lost. And I mean, pretty much most teams would have that happen. So it's hard to say based on that. I mean, see what it looks like with Orgy. I don't know.
Big game this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another big game this weekend is Michigan State Boston College. Michigan State beat Prairie View on Saturday, 40-0. Childs was 12 of 19 with 173 yards and a touchdown. Nathan Carter led the rushing attack with 8 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. And Johnson had two catches for 50 yards. Good defensive outing. Put up 40. I say mission accomplished, huh?
100%. It was good to see that they're going to beat the teams handily that they should beat like that. You can see the continuities kind of coming around between Childs and the receivers. It was good to see Nathan Carter have a good day. Maybe that'll get his confidence up. Maybe he can carry that over into a bigger game or this weekend even. So, I mean, it was good to see. There's not really much to say. They handled the business that they needed to do, and you know, and that was a good thing. It was good to see them do that. So,
I mean, I agree. They needed a clean win for confidence, but still clearly a lot of work to be done. I mean, I'd like to see Velling used a little bit more if possible. The offense, I didn't think was still that great. I mean, they kind of slowed down after they had some early success, I thought, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, 40-0, that's nearly as much as Vegas said they should win by, which was like 42. I think it was minus 42 before kickoff. So, I mean, I guess they played where they should have played or were supposed to play, if that means anything. Obviously, you got to like the defense putting a shutout up. Although they were bending a few times, but I mean, that's going to happen, you know, against any team. Yeah. Those guys are also, I was a professional, but they're D1 athletes.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're all talented. So yeah, they're gonna make a play here and there. I still would have liked to see them play a little bit tighter, but that's just my head wanting a perfect situation too. So no, glad to see them win 40-0. They definitely won a 140-0 last year, and so just knowing the improvements there is nice. And then Boston College, that's going to be tough, dude. We said it last week. They've been playing well. They went to Missouri and really played pretty well there too. And so this is going to be a get back game for them if they're trying to make something out of this season. And this is a prove it game for Michigan State. So they both got something to go, but you know, Boston College is at home. So that, you know,
should be a
that
good
way.
game.
It should be, or it exposes one team. But if anybody's exposed, it's Michigan State because, I mean, Boston College went to Missouri and played a hell of a game. So,
to see.
All right. Real quick, Western won on Saturday, 59-31 against Bethune-Cookman. Hayden Wolf had 305 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Jaden Nixon had 17 carries, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Anthony Sambucci, 4 catches, 103 yards, and a touchdown. Not much to say. Bethune-Cookman, we're not fans of Western anyway. But it's good to see that they put up almost 60. So, and feel free to cut in if you want anything to say about them. Eastern won on Saturday as well, 37-34 against Jacksonville State. Cole Snyder had probably a game high over the last 2 seasons with 273 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Elijah Jackson Anderson had 24 carries, 87 yards. Are the Eagles back, fellas, at 2-1?
I mean, I did say that I think they'd be better this year than they would be last year. 37-34. I don't really know how good Jackson State is. I mean, they
0-3.
took him to double OT. But like you said, Snyder had a good day. All they really needed last year was just better quarterback play. And they could have at least had a fighting chance for the MAC championship. We'll see what happens with them. I mean, if Snyder can keep playing like this, they give themselves a pretty good chance to be a pretty good team in the MAC this year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, it's super hard to say. The D has got to step up. I mean, clearly. I mean, Jackson State, yeah, who knows what they are, but they're not a winning team.
Right. Yeah.
At this point, and EMU needed all the time to beat them. I'd like to see EMU do a little bit better, but if Snyder's throwing the ball, that's good for them. And defense just got to take it up another notch.
Yep. Central. Moving on to Central. Central lost 30-9 against Illinois. Illinois is now 3-0. Central Michigan is 1-2. Joey Labus, 12-25, 125 yards of interception. Miles Bailey, 6 carries, 49 yards. I mean, I don't know if Illinois is going to be good this year. I mean, they're ranked now in the top 25, but
it's Big Ten.
Putting up 3 field goals, regardless, is a tough look for the Chippewas.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in conference play, because I believe they play Ball State this weekend, and they do. And we're going to do predictions. Ball State at CMU. CMU is a 6.5-point favorite. Over under is 52. What do you got?
Over under is 52. I'm gonna take the under on that. I think CMU will take it. We'll see. I don't know. I don't keep up with very many. I'd have to listen to a MAC podcast of sorts. So. If only there was a MAC podcast that I could.
Yeah.
Purely MAC.
I'd take the. I'll take the point, or given the points with CMU.
I'm with you. Ball State came off a loss to Miami, 62-0 over the weekend. So, or the over. I mean, Ball State put up 42 points the week before. So, I don't know. I'm going to take Central, though. I think Central can get it done at home.
I mean, the potential for them to pop off, we've seen it's there. I mean, now granted, it was against a really bad team, but it's there, and Ball State's not a good team. So 6 winning by a touchdown. I mean, they should
give it to me.
Should.
Quick pick 'em. St. Francis, Pennsylvania at Eastern. No line as of right now.
Oh man,
St. Fran. They got a new bishop this year. They're looking good. I think I'm going to go with the EMU. That one.
Pulling my leg, but I'll do the same.
Oh, the bishop would.
St. Francis this year is 1-2. If you were wondering, they got beat by Central Connecticut State University last week.
Well, then I'm taking them. That's Connecticut
but team. The week before, they beat Kent State.
It doesn't.
23
doesn't impress me.
Kent State sucks.
That's still pretty unimpressive.
Everybody knows Kent State sucks, dude.
USC at Michigan. Michigan is a 5-point underdog at home. Over under is 43.5.
That is.
What's USC looking like? I mean, I'm not even really sure.
I think they're top 15. I think they're number 13.
Have they played anybody yet this year?
I can tell you. Hold on.
I feel like week 1 they're maybe.
They're number 11 in the country. They're 2-0. They beat Utah State 48-0 last week, and the week before they beat LSU.
That's it. Yeah. They beat
So
LSU. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to take USC to cover that. I don't like it.
What's the spread again?
5.
Oh.
It just seems low enough. And you can only go by how they've played.
Yeah.
It's just tough. To bet money, it'd be tough not to take USC.
100%. What's the over-under?
43.5.
Yeah, I'll probably take USC and USC cover that. Cover the.
I mean, with that point total is so hard.
I'm like, unfortunately,
it's going to come down to coaching. I mean, other factors too, obviously, but
on the field.
I'm going to go Michigan.
There you go.
Right?
Michigan to cover. MSU.
I mean,
the main event.
Good.
MSU at Boston College. Boston College is a 6.5 point favorite at home. Over under is 45. I have MSU. I'm going to take MSU with the points. Because even if they lose, I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I agree with that. Kind of like with you, Bill. I'm probably not going to pick. I did pick against Michigan State when they played Maryland, but I am going to take them this week.
How would you not?
Points.
Right. For that game.
Especially at that point in the season. But yeah, MSU with the points.
I'm just going to take Boston College to cover that.
Yeah,
you sicko.
Yeah, I know. I don't want them to, obviously. I just think they will. I think they've been playing well enough. They got this at home. They're going to be pretty juiced up for it. But Michigan State should be, and they're getting better every week. So that's where I hesitate. But it's also one of those games where you think Michigan State might be better than they are right now.
True.
Then lose by a couple touchdowns.
Right. I do feel like if their offense can click just a little bit, their defense is good enough to keep them in it to win.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know much about Boston. I know they've played well. I'm guessing their offense could be at least as good as Maryland's.
Right.
And, I mean, they were competing with, I mean, who knows? Like, Missouri's also one of those teams that, because they're in the SEC and they get pretty good recruits, they're like, get up there, but then they just kind of fall off.
Yeah.
At some point. So I don't, it's so hard to know at this early in the season, but based off what I've seen so far, I would take Boston College to cover that.
That's fair.
All right. Yeah. So let's get into the NFL with the Lions, who lost on Sunday to Tampa Bay 20-16. Baker Mayfield was 12 of 19, 185 yards on a touchdown with an interception. Baker Mayfield was also their leading rusher, 5 carries, 34 yards and a touchdown, which does not bode well for my fantasy team, but that's fine. Chris Godwin had 7 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff was 34 of 55 for 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 13 carries, 84 yards. Amon-Ra had a good game on Sunday with 11 catches for 119 yards. Another stat was 11 carries for 35 yards for David Montgomery. So, they weren't going to win them all. Eddie, I think you brought it up last week about how, Tampa's a good team. Still had chances to win. I thought the defense played pretty well.
Yeah.
I didn't think Jared Goff played well. I don't think any of us thought Jared Goff played well. It's a lot of almost empty yards, it feels like, right? I mean, at time I don't know. Whether it's decision making, whether it was his throws, like they just I don't know. I think I texted you. I was like, it was a very Jared Goff game where, it was one of those games where they ran him out of LA. Thoughts from you guys. That's not an off the ledge thing. Like I said, they're not going to win them all. But definitely a game they should have won.
Yes, they put themselves in position to win that game. And really in the end, what really came down to bite them in the ass was that missed field goal opportunity at the end of halftime. I don't necessarily know. I know Dan Campbell took the blame for that. I don't know if it was necessarily his fault. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's going to take the blame, and it is his fault because he is the head coach. But it doesn't mean that he was like, run out there where we don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. He could have been the special teams coach. It could have just been like, him being like, hey, be ready. Guys, just run out there because they think they have to get it off real quick. It's like, no, but that really ended up coming to bite him in the ass because they wouldn't have needed that touchdown, and they could have possibly just gotten a field goal there at the end, especially with Bates' leg being big. So they were within field goal range pretty quickly. But like you said, Bill, Goff didn't play well. I feel like that's the second week in a row he really hasn't played very well. He just was I think it was decision making. I know one of the picks, he was trying to get the PI call with Jameson. But the problem with that is that Jahmyr Gibbs was wide open underneath. Easily could have gotten that first down. He threw it in a tight window in double coverage to Jameson Williams to get that PI call. And it didn't get called. And that's, so I do kind of blame him for that. She should just take your open man. I'm not, I get it. He's an NFL quarterback. It's hard. You know what I mean? You're trying to make plays, get it to those guys. Or there's that play where he just threw it to the ground on that screen or whatever when there was nobody around to hit him. He just threw it at his feet, and you could see the frustration even with Jahmyr. It was just kind of plays like that. I know he doesn't want to put his guys in position to get hurt, but at the same time, Gibbs is an elusive dude. You got to give him a shot. You can't just throw it away every single time. But defense played well. I was glad to see St. Brown getting the looks that he should have gotten in week 1. They need to, involve Laporta a lot more. I feel like we're not utilizing him in the middle of the field and his route running and just his catching ability in general. I'm sure they're keying on him, but at the same time, you got to find ways to get him the ball. If he's going to be one of those guys, you got to get him the ball, and then that opens up JMO and St. Brown. So it's tough to watch. They're not gonna, like you said, they're not going to win all of them. Kind of a revenge game for the Buccaneers from playoffs last year. So, you take it with a grain of salt, but hopefully Goff can just play better moving forward. I'm hoping this is just one of those games that he just wasn't on it. You know what I mean? And he'll pick it up somewhere down the road, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was a rough game to watch in general, especially offensively. It was just tough. I mean, I think most people would agree if Jared Goff has got to throw the ball over 50 times, you're probably not going to win.
True.
That's just a lot. He's just not that guy. We've seen what it looks like when he's best, and we just don't have that going right now. The run game isn't popping off like it was, or as much as it was, last year. The blocking doesn't, again, I brought this up last week, just doesn't feel the same as far as what they were doing before. And maybe the defenses have adjusted to what they're assuming the Lions are going to do. And maybe now it's on Ben Johnson to do something different. And maybe he just hasn't gotten there or whatever. I mean, the Bucs are pretty good. They're a good team. I definitely feel like the Lions should beat them, but we're also very biased. So I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, you got to give it up. The only other thing would be just giving it up to Hutch, who was a freaking beast out there. That was Bill's X Factor last week. So he called that. And I don't know. Do you have to win for the X Factor to be true?
I know. I was just thinking about that. I mean, he gave it his best effort. That's for sure.
He gave it a go. He gave it a go. We were texting each other during that. It's like, dude, why are they single blocking this guy? Your right tackle isn't going to get it done. I mean, unless it's Penei Sewell, he's probably not going to be able to get it done. So I was like, oh, well, that was sweet. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. A little worried now about next week's game. I mean, the Cardinals just lit it up last week, and week to week, who knows what'll happen? But
right,
and they're in Arizona.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't want to be cocky because of the history of the franchise, but like we're a team, not us, but they're a team now that you expect them to win that game on Sunday. You expect them to win Sunday. But I'm with you. Like, I'm kind of worried. I'm kind of worried about Sunday now. Like, will Goff get the offense going? We'll go over X factors in a second, I guess. But, when a single player has almost 5 sacks by himself, you think that
honestly it should have been 5. Onwuzurike wasn't really there for half of that. He fell on top of him, but
I thought it should have been 4 because I thought Onwuzurike had the whole thing.
Oh, did you? Yeah, for sure. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Usually that's a good indicator. But then again, I mean, when in the second half, Tampa Bay adjusted and Baker started running. When the pocket was closing in, I mean, there was just constant pressure all day long. I don't know. I do worry about, because Kyler Murray's a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, dude. If Baker Mayfield is breaking ankles, dude, I hate it. I mean, nobody is a fan liked seeing that, but I definitely don't like Baker Mayfield in general. And then he's just out there doing it up. I'm like,
breaking Rodrigo's ankles.
Dude, yeah, that was bad.
That was a good joke.
I mean, it was
Lamar-esque. Yeah, I thought we were playing Lamar Jackson out there.
So predictions for this weekend out in the desert. I'll go first. I think it's gonna probably be. I don't know if if Arizona's going to have the output they had last week. I think, Davenport's out this week, so I'm not sure who would play on the end on that side. Regardless, I still think they get pressure, but Kyler Murray's a mobile quarterback, so Lions win in a shutout, 28-0.
It could happen.
Probably not. It'll probably be like 35-31. Lions win.
I like that.
And it probably won't be 35 because Jake Bates is the man.
They could get a safety or something.
41-31.
41-30. High scoring affair.
That's right.
I like it. I was going to roughly do a similar. I think it's going to be a little bit high scoring. I think I'm going to pick the Lions, but I think that'll be Lions 31-24.
Shut up.
I think it'll
That's
be
exactly what I was going to say.
Really?
Yes. I mean, that's actually not a good score. I'll go 28-24 Lions.
It's a terrible score.
My X factor is going to be Jared Goff. He needs to have himself a game this week.
I completely agree with you. I think it's got to be Jared Goff.
Get your own X factor.
It also has to be the O-line. They have to make that a bigger push and let Montgomery.
Here he goes
get
again.
a better run.
I know.
And then it also has to be the
He's gonna
entire
name
team.
off 8 players.
The entire team is my X factor. If they all play well.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I will say I'll switch off of Goff. I'll say the O-line. Montgomery should have more than 35 yards. They need to get a bigger push up front. That's the heart of the team, and they need to run the ball first so Goff can play action it and play a little bit better, feel more comfortable in the pocket.
Here's what you idiots are missing. Okay. I'm just kidding. I gotta come up with something. So I think a good one would be Sam Laporta. I think he, having that kind of play from his position opens up a lot of things also. So, I mean, if you get the offensive line going, Montgomery going, Goff going, Laporta, we're probably going to have a really good game.
Maybe.
Offensively. But we probably should have said one of the corners because, those guys were popping off. Or even whoever is going to play D-end opposite Aiden Hutchinson, especially if Davenport's out, because
is Reader back yet?
Reader said he's not playing anymore. He's done.
Yeah, did he? I heard that he was supposed to make his debut last week, and I'm assuming they just last minute scratch off or something like that. But I didn't know if he would come back this week or not, which would be huge for the D line, especially if Davenport's out. But
the injury report: Terrion Arnold did not practice. Rakestraw didn't practice. Melifonwu didn't practice. Arnold, I guess, has an illness. Full practice. Amon Ra was at full practice, and Marcus Davenport.
Okay, perfect.
So Kirby Joseph was upgraded. So all right. So we can get a side X factor. I guess it'd be the Y factor. Would be for me Aaron Glenn. Just because of what are you going to scheme up this weekend for Kyler Murray, for Marvin Harrison Jr.? You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see. And I would probably, as a Z factor, I would probably take the whole defensive line and linebackers. XY. Oh, yeah, you could go W2.
What does it say the W factor?
A W2. Let's get that $10, boys.
How much taxes we paid on that? Boy, huh?
So, Aiden Hutchinson, great player.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I have no sweet segue to this. I saw something on the interwebs this week, and I wanted to kind of just see what your guys' list was of top 10 favorite NFL players of all time. Now, obviously, we are Lions fans, so I don't know how many favorite Bears players you have.
Jay Cutler's on this list.
Looks like I'm at 0.
I was a big Cutler. Yeah, I was a big Cutler guy.
Yeah, I bet.
0. Number 1 on my list would be Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Bill would have one Bear guy that he loves, for sure.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Jim Harbaugh.
Nah.
You don't love Jim Harbaugh anymore?
No, I Jim Harbaugh, the coach, not NFL player. And if it was Jim Harbaugh, if I had
Jeez.
Jim Harbaugh, it'd be the Colts. Colts Jim Harbaugh with the visor.
I just thought you liked him in general. I wasn't saying specific time frames of his life. I just thought you liked the guy.
Oh, I do like the guy. I think he's a great coach. He's a cheater.
That he is.
Left the cupboards bare back in Ann Arbor, but whatever.
He went full, what's his face? Pete Carroll on Michigan.
Sure did.
He just rolled. Hey,
He just
man,
rolled up.
take your natty and run.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
For sure.
He's doing well in LA. So,
He is.
let's start with Eddie. Eddie, you go first. Let's hear your top 10 NFL players of all time.
All time. That's tough. Because I always, you look at it, you're like, there's people you left off. But I'll start at number 10 and go with Ndamukong Suh. Just because of what he did when he was Lions. He was part of that big resurgence, and I don't know, he was easy to love when he was on your team at that time, right? I mean,
100%,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
everything
Loved it.
was awesome right then, we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
sucked. Number 9, I got Herman Moore, classic stand Lions
Classic.
receiver. Number 8, Derek Brooks, one of the great linebackers of all time. I also liked Tampa kind of in its own way. Number 7, I got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's already up in my top 10. I just like what he's about. Plays hard,
Mhm. Yeah.
Number 6, I got Ray Lewis, one of the great linebackers of all time. Also murdered somebody, possibly. It's hard to say, but as a linebacker,
Allegedly.
he was a killer. Number 5, I went with
Aaron
Robert
Hernandez.
Porsche. Yeah,
Speaking of killers,
yeah,
my 5th guy is
yeah. Bob Porsche.
no Bob.
Oh, Bob, classic Lion, 90s Lion, was a good player, really good player. Number 4, Bo Jackson, just one of those all-time great athletes. Obviously, I was a Raiders fan also, and so he was a big reason why. Number 3, I got Megatron, just one of the greats of all time. Number 2, I got to go with Lawrence Taylor. He's the reason I even wore 56. Probably the best defensive player of all time.
That leads us to this. Don't smoke crack.
Exactly. So number 1 is Bobby Boucher. Well, it's obvious. It's Barry.
Clear.
Good list. I like that. I like how you put Derek Brooks in there.
Oh, dude, just
He was sick. He was such a sweet linebacker.
Yeah.
Dean, you're up.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously I'll have a couple of similar names, but I'm at number 10. I got Troy Polamalu. Dude was insane at safety. Number 9, I had LaDainian Tomlinson, best Charger running backs ever. Number 8, Ed Reed. I mean, E.D. Reed, baby. Can't go wrong. Then I got Ray Lewis at number 7. I got Aaron Donald at number 6. I love D tackle play, especially dominant guys like that. Number 5, got Peyton Manning. Number 4, I put Ndamukong Suh because I love the dirty. I love the dirty play from old Sue.
Yeah.
And as a Lion, of course, these are all Lions in my top 4. Number 3 is Dre Bly. That was always my guy growing up.
Oh, sure.
Then I got Calvin Johnson, number 2, and then Barry Sanders at number 1.
Nice.
Of course.
I like that. All right. Number 10 for me was Junior Seau.
R.I.P.
I always like Junior Seau's play. Peyton Manning was number 9. Ed Reed was number 8. Tom Brady, number 7. Herman Moore, number 6. LT. Oh, sorry, not LT. LaDainian Tomlinson. So
Yeah,
LT.
get it right.
Yeah. LaDainian Tomlinson, number 5. Jason Hansen, number 4.
He's an honorable mention.
Robert Porsche, number 3. Calvin Johnson, number 2. And Scott Mitchell, number 1.
Oh,
I knew it.
disgusting.
big fan of Scotty Mitchell.
Big fan.
No, Barry, obviously number 1.
We left Kitna off these lists.
Yeah.
We
Somehow
left the greatest.
Kitna didn't make the list. He's not even in my honorable mention, if you can believe it.
That's insane.
So, you guys had honorable mentions.
A couple.
I did a few.
Yeah, one guy, if you want to go trash talker, one of the greats all time at that, who I go back and forth because he's a divisional guy, but John Randall. I used to just love listening to him go, dude, and he was a beast, man. I mean, Bruce Smith, another one of those all-time great players to watch. And last one I had here, because it was just definitely during those Raider days, was Tim Brown, which he was always hard for me to really come all the way around for, but he was a Notre Dame guy. But as a Raider, he's like top 5 best Raider of all time, right? And
for sure,
he was right there during the time I was watching. So it was just one of those things.
Yeah. I had a couple of guys. Patrick Willis, retired too early. I mean, that was right at the height of when I, was playing football in high school and stuff like that. I mean, that dude was a monster out there. I love that guy. Luke Kuechly, another guy that retired a little early at linebacker. He was a bad dude. Steve Smith, Champ Bailey, Ty Law. I really liked Ty, even though he was a Patriot and a Michigan guy. I don't know why, but I really liked Ty Law. that was another one of those guys during those Super Bowl
I was going to
years.
say that was one of my honorable mentions was Ty Law.
Yeah. I don't know why I liked him so much.
I did.
I can't explain it. I don't.
One, as far as divisional goes, I'm kind of with you, Ed, but Reggie White
I couldn't do it.
Really good. Huh?
I couldn't do it.
I know.
He was just too dominant against the Lions that
I know. But he was good. Mark Duper, just because of Tecmo Super Bowl. And Warren Moon. For whatever reason, I've always liked Warren Moon. So
who was that one Viking? He came over. He was like a big signing for them. He'd always do the Jared Allen. You like Jared Allen too, Bill?
No.
You want to put Jared Allen, Reggie White, and let him go off on Goff? Just make your day.
I didn't hate Jared Allen when he was with the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, it's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. Yeah, okay. Same with Khalil Mack. I liked him with the Raiders. I didn't like him with the Bears, obviously. That stint made me keep him off my list, off my honorable mentions list. If he didn't ever go to the Bears, he would have been on my honorable mentions. Your loss, Khalil.
Yeah, exactly.
Loser.
I'll put him in a tag on when I upload the video. Someone tagged me, Khalil Mack.
He'd kill me.
He's like, "Where you live, boy?"
Yeah, where you live? I think I'm older than you.
Boy.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, all good list, guys. It was nice hearing, especially. I don't know why I keep going back to it, but Derek Brooks, he was such a good player.
An amazing linebacker.
Is another one too.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you could go through that Hardy Nickerson. You could go through that defense and just Rondé Barber was on that defense. John Lynch.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
that defense was insane.
Crazy. All right, well, let's get into the weekly Tigers update. The weekly Tigers update is brought to you by the Adobo Boy, who is the official sponsor of the BD Sports Talk podcast. As you know, as we tell you every week, Dean, Eddie, and myself, we are proud Filipino Americans. And we love a delicious Filipino meal. And Adobo Boy delivers just that with their amazing food and vibes that are unmatched in the food industry. Not only do they have delicious food, they also go against the grain of a traditional restaurant and tinker with their menu to bring you an amazing variety of Filipino cuisine. Their menu rotates weekly, so there's always a reason to come back to try more authentic Filipino food. And if you ever wonder what their menu is, go to their website, adoboboygr.com, or on Facebook. One dish you can always count on: Red's Pork Adobo Bowl. And if you've never watched this, your first time watching, Dean has a special knowledge of the Red's Pork Adobo Bowl.
Loves it.
It's true. I love it. I live it.
What's on that?
Live it.
I bleed pork adobo bowl. Let's get into it. It's hard to find a vein in my body because it's just so clogged with the pork adobo. It's so good. I have trouble giving blood.
That's actually concerning.
It's so thick. It's like rice in there, which comes with the pork adobo bowl. Is tender pork braised in soy sauce and vinegar on a bed of rice with Jackie's achara, which is a papaya salad, cucumber, and a fried egg on top. It is delicious. I usually eat everything separate, as Ace recommends, but you could mix it up like Bill and Ed both do. It's worth buying two just to try it for yourself. It's worth it every time.
Yes, it is. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get 10 for the whole family. So if you are into trying new and different foods, or just like some amazing adobo and vibes, stop in and say hi to owners Ace, Jackie, and son Red, who are amazing people who genuinely care about your experience. Eddie, give them the good news.
Like a deer in the headlight right there.
Huh? What's
Give
that?
them the good news. Give them the good news.
They got good news?
Good news.
Oh, what you're talking about, Adobo Boy?
Well, yeah.
There's only good news when it comes to Adobo Boy, Bill.
Yes.
It's the only kind of
No bad
news you
news.
get, baby. You walk in and you already know you're in the good news zone because you're gonna get that ambiance. You're gonna get the smells. You're gonna soak it in. You'll be like, man, I know I'm in the right place. You're gonna walk up to the register. You're gonna be greeted by a very friendly person, and they're gonna ask you what you want to eat, and you can't make a wrong choice. You really can't. You can't make a wrong choice. And at the end of your order, you just say BD Sports Talk Podcast.
Yes.
And they're gonna give you 5% off.
Boom.
Just by saying BD Sports Talk Podcast at the end of your order, they're gonna give you 5% off. So you walk in, you get the smells, you get the ambiance, you go place your order with a friendly person at the register. You're going to say BD Sports Talk Podcast. They're going to give you 5% off, and then you just get to enjoy it. It really doesn't get much better than that. Again, 5% off just by saying BD Sports Talk Podcast at the register. Get there today. What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? The only bad news about Adobo Boy is at 8:31 when they close on Saturday for dinner.
That's depressing. When I shut down.
5% off. My goodness gracious.
Shut down the
Well, if you want that 5% off, you want that delicious adobo, you want those amazing smells and vibes. Adobo Boy is open Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch and 5 to 7:30 for dinner. Saturday, same schedule, except that dinner is open until 8:30, an extra hour to get your adobo. But get there before, because they will probably run out. It is so darn good. Adobo Boy is located at 3740 28th Street Southeast in Kentwood, Michigan, inside the Amazing Myanmar restaurant. 3 restaurants in there. Amazing Myanmar's to your right, Brunch and Rice is to your left, but smack dab in the middle with that huge sign is Adobo Boy. So get there, get fed, get happy. It is always better at the Adobo Boy. Fellas, with 9 games to go, it is September 19th, 2024. The team that was written off by most everyone, hand up here after the All-Star break. The team
Boys
that
did.
was written off by, man, 16 games left. said they had no chance. Has won 9 of their last 11. And as of today, they are tied for the last wild card spot. They play at Baltimore starting tomorrow, which would be Friday for the weekend. Then they're home for their last 6. Cleveland clinched the Central today. So, fellas, is this season, from where they were at the All-Star break till now, is it now considered a success if they don't make the playoffs? Or, Eddie, is it not?
No, it's not.
I like us.
I don't. Make the playoffs. You didn't do a lot of things to get us to this point because you said this might happen, or didn't even really say this might happen. They were just preaching us that they were building. So if this is the product you say that's going to get us to the field, get the fans there and support the team, then no, if you're not making the playoffs when they weren't terribly far away last season, then no, I don't think it's a success. And I would say the same with the Red Wings, which they made 2 big contract extensions. It's just a sidebar. But
Yep.
I would not say it's a success if they don't make the playoffs. I still don't feel confident they're going to make the playoffs. But then again, when at the end of the season, Andy Dirks was talking about just yesterday, pitching, if you got good pitching, that comes through more at the end of the season than it does earlier. And that's what he says. And I mean, he's been there and done it, so I'll take his word for it. And it kind of makes sense to me, because you can get so hot and cold, but the pitching, if it's been consistent, I mean, it's there, and they got the pitching. So
definitely the pitching.
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome to see them in the playoffs. I'm still not sold. I mean, the next 6 games are tough games, and I don't want to go on the other side of it now. I mean, we're making a run, I'm going to say there is 0% chance if they even sniff the playoffs.
Yes. I was ridiculed for saying crazier things have happened, and now these crazy things are happening.
So
I don't look so crazy.
Happened?
No. This, by the time people hear this, I mean, the Orioles series will have been played through, but it's a big series for them. This is one that they really need to. I mean, it will be, right? I mean, by the time
I don't know,
last game against them Sunday. But I mean, it's a big series for them coming through. So I'm hoping they come away with 2 out of 3. I mean, they pulled it off. What was it last week? Pulled it off last week. They need to do something similar this week too, and then they. Lead going into the Rays, that'll be, if they can win that series. I mean, the Rays and White Sox are biggest series of the season. Now, I will say at one point I was definitely out on them I didn't think there'd be enough games, but they're one of the hottest teams in baseball going into this last week or 2 of the season. That's a great time to be hot. But they've been inconsistent, as we've talked about. They can turn it off like that. It could happen pretty quickly, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited that we're even talking about them possibly even considering where we were in August and
Does this
July.
feel like Red Wings-esque at the end of last season?
A little bit. Yeah,
Doesn't
of course.
It?
Yeah,
Doesn't
of course.
But
we felt like we felt like with the Red Wings, though, throughout the entire season, you know what I mean? Whereas at least with the Tigers, we were pretty down on them early, and to see this emergence with the injuries and, getting these young guys in and playing as a unit, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's good to see. It gives you hope for the future, hopefully not overly hopeful that these guys are going to just be it. Like you've talked about it, you need to make some sort of signing for somebody if you want to make if you're going to go with this roster, you're going to have to make one big signing still. You can't just money ball it, next year as well. I think we kind of got lucky, obviously leading into these last few weeks. I mean, that's what it takes, skill and luck, right? You need things to bounce your way.
The Twins sucking has helped.
Yes, that's been huge. They got cold at the worst time.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Just imagine, just real quick, had they just sat Javi for 15 more games during the season. Honestly, I know it's not just him, but you win at least one or two more, probably.
Yeah.
And how they're playing those one-run games.
Yeah. Because he felt like an automatic out almost.
He was pretty much, yes, almost every time.
Yeah. And Sweeney's filled in pretty nicely, in that spot. Looks like he could be an everyday player moving forward. But, this could just be the right time. We just got the right guys playing at the right time, type of scenario. Which is scary, which is a scary thought.
To all these guys. Yeah. And then we're going to have, like I've brought up a bunch of times, we're going to have like that post 2021 or whatever team.
Right.
Where it just wasn't really a great collection. They just clicked for a little while and looked good. So,
the Twins have the Red Sox, the Marlins, and they finish the season with the Orioles. So
gotta watch out because the Red Sox are right there too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true. Somebody could sneak in.
So
it's exciting though.
Meaningful baseball in September. That's good news.
Mm.
Also, some good news. Eddie, you brought it up already. Red Wings. We're going to start getting into the Red Wings now. Figured we'd finish up the podcast with a couple big signings. Mo Seider, 7-year contract, $8.55 million a year.
Glad they got that done. I wasn't sure if they'd get it done.
They got
Lucas
it done.
Raymond,
it's good.
8 years, $8 million a year for the 22-year-old. $64.6 million.
It's huge.
How are we feeling, guys? We feeling playoffs? Stanley Cup?
And
new season?
You signed those two guys for that? We all know. I mean, they should have been in it last year, and if they don't make it this year, there's going to have to be some sort of changes. Those were big signings. I wasn't sure if they'd get the Mo Seider one done because when I last heard, they'd gotten Lucas Raymond done, which I don't know. I feel like could have been almost more important than Seider. I mean, they're right next. I mean, it's side by side. They're both just as important as the other, but I thought getting Raymond signed first was the right call moving forward. But I mean, that's awesome news because they needed to keep both of those guys 100% if they wanted to have a legitimate shot at being a playoff contender next year. So that's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Yeah, of course. I'm kind of leaning with you a little bit on that, Dean, with Lucas Raymond, just because, he's not going to be Connor McDavid or anybody like that, but I think he's at least as good as Dylan Larkin or can be, and that's pretty damn good. And you need those points. That was the whole thing last offseason, right? I was like, they got to get points. They just don't score. They don't score enough points to win. And, having Mo Seider re-signed for the next 8 years also is huge because our goalies aren't that great either. And so he was obviously a priority. They're both priorities. Glad to see it was done. I was surprised because it kind of left my sports consciousness for a while. Not really thinking about it, especially with the Tigers doing stuff, and the Lions playing again, football. So when those popped up over my alerts, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty pumped to see it.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Locks them up for a while. Better part of a decade. So that's great. Quick, before we get out of here, do you think Javi Baez pulls a Eddie Martell from the Replacements?
and tries to
crosses
insert
the
himself.
line and puts himself as the starting.
If he does, they need to say no. They just need to say no. Buy his contract out that second. Don't let him
he's
be a part.
he's feeling good. The hands going up to the ear.
Yeah.
There goes the chemistry if he comes back.
Just DFA his ass at that point, man. Come on.
He goes up to him. She's like, playoff Baez is the best Baez.
It's the Baez you've been waiting for.
You just haven't had a chance to see it yet.
You'll love me.
You'll love playoff Baez.
Sweet.
What if that
He's
happened?
got nothing on playoff Baez.
That'd be
Then they get
I
swept.
mean,
what if he did that and then he just 315 average, just tearing it up.
I mean, that'd be sweet, right?
He's like, he's right. Playoff Baez.
They're like, we're gonna re-extend him.
I was gonna say, do you keep Javi Baez for playoff Baez?
If it was real.
If it was a real thing, maybe.
Put him on IR for 60-day IR for the chunk of the season, and like, oh, now he's doing his AAA, starts.
Getting warmed up.
Get him ready to go for the playoffs.
Get a tight back for about 90 days.
No, if I see him in the starting lineup in the playoffs, I'm just not gonna watch because I'll just be too angry.
Right.
To reasonably watch a baseball game.
This is Javi's time to shine.
This is Javi's time.
And if he does sweet and I don't watch, then I'll be glad. I'll be like, okay, then I just don't watch.
That's fair.
I will not chase
because every time I watch, he sucks. I'll tell you that. I can't remember watching him do sweet. I've seen him hit a home run.
I saw the game where,
but that's you got to wish on a star.
I'm recalling games where he got 2 hits. Like, oh, that was a sweet day.
Javi was on fire.
El Mago.
He had a stolen base too.
All right, well, let's get out of here. Great episode. Got a lot in tonight. Enjoy you guys being here, talking sports. And if you like us talking sports, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hope you all have a good week. Good luck to all sports teams out there this weekend. For Dean and Eddie, this is Bill saying, have a great week. See you next time on the BD Sports Talk podcast.
Sports Talk.